Halloween, a night of costumes, candy, and spooky fun. But what if I told you that this seemingly innocent holiday has origins far removed from Christianity? What if I told you that Halloween, as we know it today, is rooted in ancient pagan traditions that have nothing to do with the faith we profess? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into the true origins of Halloween and uncover the dark history behind this popular celebration. The origins of Halloween date back over 2,000 years to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. The Celts, who lived in what is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. This day marked the end of summer and the harvest, and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, a time of year that was often associated with death. The Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. These spirits were thought to cause trouble and damage crops, but they also made it easier for the Druids, or Celtic priests, to make predictions about the future. For a people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort and direction during the long, dark winter. To commemorate the event, the Druids built huge sacred bonfires, where the people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities. During the celebration, the Celts wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. When the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier in the evening, from the sacred bonfire to help protect them during the coming winter. Fast forward to the Roman Empire. By 43 AD, the Romans had conquered the majority of Celtic territory. In the course of their 400-year rule, two festivals of Roman origin were combined with the traditional Celtic celebration of Samhain. The first was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. The second was a day to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple, and this likely explains the tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today on Halloween. With the spread of Christianity, the celebration of Samhain was blended and altered, but never completely replaced. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III designated November 1st as a time to honor all saints and martyrs, known today as All Saints' Day. The evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve and later Halloween. Even with the Christian influence, the celebration retained much of the Celtic spirit of Samhain. As immigrants brought these traditions to America, Halloween began to evolve. The distinctive American Halloween began to emerge, featuring a distinctly secular flavor that included ghost stories, mischief-making, and autumnal festivities. By the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers than about ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft. At the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. These parties focused on games, foods of the season, and festive costumes. But let's be clear, Halloween's transformation into a family-friendly holiday does not erase its pagan roots. The customs of dressing up in costumes, carving jack-o'-lanterns, and trick-or-treating all stem from ancient rituals meant to ward off evil spirits and honor the dead. The practice of trick-or-treating may have roots in the medieval practice of souling, where poor people would go door to door on Halloween, receiving food in return for prayers for the dead on All Souls' Day. Now think about it. How does any of this align with Christian beliefs? The Bible does not condone or support practices that have roots in paganism or rituals that invoke fear of the dead or evil spirits. In fact, Scripture warns against such practices. In Deuteronomy 18:10-12, it says, "Let no one be found among you who sacrifices their son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft or casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord." Despite these clear warnings, Halloween has become a mainstream celebration, even among Christians. But why? It's because the lines between culture and faith have been blurred. The pull of tradition and the desire to fit in often overshadow the need to uphold the purity of one's faith. Today, Halloween is a multi-billion-dollar industry. From costumes to candy, from haunted houses to horror movies, it's big business. But at what cost? By participating in Halloween, are we inadvertently turning a blind eye to its origins and ignoring the warnings of Scripture? As Christians, we are called to be set apart, to live by God's standards, not the world's. Romans 12:2 urges us, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." So as you consider the festivities of Halloween, ask yourself, are you conforming to the patterns of this world, or are you living in accordance with God's will? Are you following the crowd, or are you standing firm in your faith, even when it means being different? Halloween may be a night of fun and games, but its roots are deeply entwined with practices that stand in stark contrast to the teachings of the Bible. It's a stark reminder of the subtle ways in which the world can lead us away from God's truth. It's up to us to discern, to choose wisely, and to live according to the principles of our faith, even when it means going against the grain.